Let's go ahead and get into the Shout Scream Factory March announcements, though, and we'll talk about some maybe not so cool announcements. But look, some of these I actually do want. I actually do want some of these, but I'd be lying if I said this isn't one of the most disappointing Scream Factory, Shout Factory months in quite some time. And they just did a whole month where they didn't even announce a 4K. There's a lot of what a lot of people would consider to be stinkers in this lineup. And I just can't for the life of me, just when I think about what Scream Factory, Shout Factory is doing right now, I'm like, what are you guys thinking? Like, do you all really just have nothing at this point? Like, what's going on? There's not even like one title to just like hook people in. At least to me, like there's some stuff I'm interested in, like I said, but I don't know what's going on here right now with Scream Factory, Shout Factory, and the fact that I talked about this before, but these aren't even showing up on the Scream Factory, Shout Factory website. They haven't announced it yet, but they're already available to pre-order on Amazon. So it's like, what is that? Like Scream Factory, Shout Factory needs to get their stuff together and do their announcements like Arrow Video, like Vinegar Syndrome, like Criterion, like all these other labels that have their crap together, Sever, and make this an event. Maybe it's because this is all crap and they're embarrassed to put it out there. I don't know. But it's like, make this feel like an event. Make it feel like something when you're announcing stuff. Put it up on your website before Amazon and Bull Moose and everybody gets a hold of it. Like, everybody knows what Shout Factory, Scream Factory is releasing like 2 or 3 days before they release it. You know, it's just ridiculous. Like, nobody gets a hold of like what Vinegar Syndrome is releasing before they release it. Like, when they drop their announcements, it's a surprise every time. Arrow Video does their little teases and then they drop their announcements and it's a surprise. So I don't know what's going on with Scream Factory, Shout Factory. They need to get their crap together and figure this out. And yeah, well, let's get down to talking about these titles. Quigley Down Under, coming out on 4K on March the 12th. I've never really heard of this film. I feel like I've heard of this movie, but I've never seen this movie. So definitely not the most exciting announcement to me. But if you're a fan of this movie, I'm sure it's a fine film. And maybe some people are excited to watch this movie on 4K. Me personally, if you're going to do an Australian adventure film, which I'm assuming that's what this is, I'd rather see Crocodile Dundee on 4K. That's just me personally. But Quigley Down Under coming out on 4K March the 12th. We also have K19 The Widowmaker coming out on 4K on March the 19th. So Shout Factory is definitely leaning into their Shout Select line for sure. They did a lot of Shout Select stuff in December, and it looks like they're going to carry that on. So K19 The Widowmaker is coming out on 4K March the 19th. And also keep in mind, none of these are showing slipcovers. Some of them say collector's edition, some of them don't. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Like I said, there hasn't been an official Shout Factory announcement yet. Some of these could be packages, could be bundles. I don't know because there's been no announcement yet. I'm assuming these are going to show up on their website sometime today. That's what I'm saying. They're just all messed up with how they announce stuff. It's just completely ridiculous. Like, we should know the packages and all the options before Amazon gets these pre-orders. It's just so weird. But K19 The Widowmaker, I heard some good things about this movie. It's got Harrison Ford. I don't know if I'll get this right away, but maybe at some point I'll purchase this movie on 4K. I'm sure it's a fine film, but not the most exciting announcement coming out of Shout Factory today. We also got Carrie 2013 coming out on 4K on March 19th. Look, I'm okay with this because it would be cool to have Carrie the original and Carrie the remake in the same line with slipcovers. Hopefully this has a slipcover. I'm not seeing it on this shelf. Like, that would be cool to have, and I might purchase this at some point. I'm not going to rush to get it. The movie itself, I remember watching and thinking it was fine. I didn't think it was great. It's certainly not Brian De Palma's film. Not at all. But I love that movie. That's one of my favorite movies of all time, favorite horror movies of all time. But Carrie 2013, Chloe Grace Moretz, I remember her doing an okay job. It's been 10 years since I've seen the movie. But yeah, sure, why not? Put it out on 4K. It'll match the other one. That's fine. But again, not the most exciting. That comes out on March the 19th. We also have, look, this movie gets a lot of crap, and for good reason. It's not great. But I'm actually kind of excited to own this in my collection, just for nostalgic reasons. But The Shining remake from, I believe, 1996 or 1997 is coming out on Blu-ray. It's getting a Blu-ray release on March the 12th. This is the made-for-TV version directed by Mick Garris. So this is actually the one that I grew up with in a way, because I was really into Stephen King, like reading his books and all that stuff when I was 10 or 11. Like, I started reading his books like very young. I read It when I was like 11 years old. So I was reading Tommyknockers, The Shining, Thinner, all that stuff. I remember having novelizations of all those. I remember the Shining book that I had was the TV miniseries cover. So when I thought of The Shining when I was a kid, I thought of this movie. That's what I thought of as The Shining. I remember I watched it a handful of times and actually really enjoyed it when I was a kid. Now, looking at the runtime, this is like a 4.5 hour movie. It's very long. I think it was like spread out over 3 nights. I remember the premiere when it came on TV. I remember watching it all 3 nights. So I actually kind of do want this in the collection, but if you have only seen this once maybe and you didn't grow up with it and you're like, that is not the Kubrick version, that is not the Jack Nicholson version, I get it, because I didn't grow up seeing the Jack Nicholson version. I didn't watch that one until I was probably 16 or 17, and it was because of the movie Twister that I even knew of that movie at all. So because it plays on the drive-in screen. But I'm excited to get this. I kind of am. Hopefully this has a slipcover. Hopefully there's some cool new features just talking about this movie, because it's a very interesting story, because Stephen King does not like Kubrick's version. So he wanted this movie remade more in the vision of his novel, and he brought in Mick Garris to direct it. That was in the documentary that I just talked about on my tier list the other day, but King on Screen. I watched this the other day. Very interesting documentary, and it kind of goes into that whole story of The Shining and how they got it remade, made for TV. But it's not a great movie, and it's nowhere near as good of a movie as the Kubrick version, but it's an interesting take, and it is more faithful to the novel. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to rewatching this one for sure. But let me know what you think of the Shining remake coming out on Blu-ray from Screen Factory in the comment section below. We also have the Child's Play remake, which came out in 2019. That is coming to 4K on March the 19th. And I don't mind this one either. I don't mind this one either because, again, it's going to match all my other Child's Play movies from the Screen Factory Shout Factory collection. Now, I wish Arrow would have got it as well and put it in this nice box set so we could have had the complete Child's Play collection, but that's not how it played out. So I like this movie. Again, it's just not one that I'm super excited to own on 4K, but I never bought it on Blu-ray, so I'm actually happy to have an excuse to own it in the collection officially, because again, I saw it in the theaters and I did like the movie, just didn't love it. We also got Over the Edge coming out on Blu-ray as well. So yeah, this is I imagine this has to be like a very divisive month. I'm sure there's some people that's really excited for some of this stuff, but I think the vast majority will be like pass on like every one of these titles. So it's just not the best, it's not the most exciting month for Screen Factory, Shout Factory for sure. But let me know what you think of all these announcements in the comments section below. Again, we could be getting like package bundle announcements from Screen Factory, Shout Factory because they're so slow in getting out information. That could come today, could come tomorrow. I don't know, but let me know what you think of these announcements in that comment section below.